Last year, we watched the Lost Tapes episodes about werewolves. So, it's only fitting that this year we watch the vampire episodes. Lost Tapes was a show that aired on Animal Planet from 2008 to 2010. They're all half-hour episodes featuring fictional found footage of cryptids, with experts giving their thoughts throughout. Honestly, it's an amazing show that I wish was still around today. But hey, at least we got some pretty cool creatures out of it. And none were as scary as the vampire. There's 2 vampire episodes, with the first actually being pretty terrifying, and it's probably my favorite Lost Tapes episode ever. So, without further ado, let's watch Lost Tapes Vampire. To start things off, they talk about a skeleton that was found with a brick shoved into its face. They claim that this is how they killed a vampire back in the day. But did you ever stop and think that maybe somebody just killed a dude with a brick? I mean, that seems a lot more likely. Now we meet the Redding family. Dennis, Sarah, and their son Eddie. Dennis just lost his job, so they bought this fixer-upper and intend on flipping it. They put up cameras all throughout the house to document the renovations, and because Eddie has a history with sleepwalking.
It's a new place, and I wanted to make sure you were safe.
I think that's enough explanation. They could have just said they put up the cameras, because otherwise we wouldn't have anything to show you. While Eddie's playing in his room, he hears something in his walls. Then his closet door slowly opens without anyone near it.
Hey, I thought you were supposed to be fixing up this room.
I would assume it's a raccoon, or maybe even a ghost, but we know it's a vampire. And that night, he comes out of the closet. Not like that, literally, and it grabs Eddie's stuffed animal. Oh, he's just lonely, that's all. Well, Eddie freaks out. His parents come running in. They don't see anything at first, but they do hear something in the walls. And like a normal, sane person, assume it's just an animal, and decide that they'll call pest control in the morning.
It's probably just something like raccoons or something, just scurrying around up in the attic.
To try to convince you of the existence of vampires, the experts talk about some real-life blood-sucking creatures. Things like mosquitoes, ticks, even the vampire bat, which can drink half their weight in blood. Interesting. The next morning, the exterminator's there, and he has a look around, using a camera to look through the walls. Eventually, he finds something. It looks like a nest of some sort, with a creature sleeping underneath it. It wakes up and attacks, pulling the poor guy through the wall. Elsewhere, father and son are working on projects, really bonding and actually having fun while a guy is being mauled in the basement. The experts try to describe real-life vampires through illness. Paleness of the skin and coughing up blood are all signs of tuberculosis. Back in the day, they would exhume a corpse and discover that it had blood in its mouth, which is just the normal process of decomposition. But back then, they thought it meant that you were a vampire. Eddie goes to check on our friend, only to discover the man-sized hole in the wall.
Where are you?
He pops his camera in to see the nest and eventually a dead body. Eddie takes off running, the vampire chasing after. Upstairs, it doesn't take long for Mom and Pop to come to Eddie's side, and they see it with their own eyes. There is a monster in the house. Dennis tries to hold it off while the family runs and hides. The front door's jammed, so they escape into Eddie's room. Dennis joins him in there, but what are they gonna do now? Time to take the offense, and Dennis attacks, somehow managing to kill the vampire, or at least scare it off, leaving him alone. But who could be next to cross the creature's path? It could be you. Now we move on to the Strigoi Vampire. What is a Strigoi Vampire, you ask? Well, you'll have to watch to find out. Some guys are tossing the pigskin around, working at an oil site, when a truck rolls in behind them. At first, the guys assume Santos here had a few too many drinks, But as they get closer, they think he passed out from a gas leak, which working in an oil field is a big deal.
He ain't moving, man.
Dude, gas leak!
Of course, we know it's not gas or anything like that, but a monster. Given the loss of men, the oil company calls in the Enigma Corporation to try to figure out what happened. There's 2 guns, Connor and Elise, and 2 doctors, Naomi and Fisher. They're called in and they get started right away, taking no chances, wearing hazmat suits to protect them, just in case the air is poisonous.
These are their tapes.
The first place they check out's the office, where everything looks pretty normal. Well, except for the dead guy. You know, that's not normal. They get a blood sample, noting that there was very little blood in the body to begin with, almost sucked dry. Now the experts chime in on what exactly a Stroy vampire is. Well, the short and skinny is it's a Romanian vampire. Their only goal is to feed, engorging on blood. To help them hunt their prey, Stroys can shapeshift, turn invisible, they have super speed and super strength. So, in other words, it's a bad day to be a human. The team hears something in the ceiling. They poke around a bit, and the tile falls, a rat dropping on top of them. But remember, Stroys can shapeshift, so I doubt that was a rat. During all this, Elise's mask rips, compromising her. But after a few minutes, they see that she's still fine, indicating that there is no airborne toxin, and the air is safe to breathe. However, Fisher isn't taking any chances.
Different strokes, Doc.
They wander around a bit, find more dead bodies, and they can tell that there was a struggle. Again, just like the other guy, very little blood in them.
It's the same as before.
Just then, they hear a dog barking.
Connor.
But again, shapeshifter, so it's not a dog. Elise shoots a tranq dart into its mouth, and it runs away into a shipping container. They go to take a closer look, and, surprise, a survivor. Now, on to how to kill a Stroy. It's not like a regular vampire. You have to dig it up from its grave, cut out its heart, split that in 2, pound a nail into its forehead, put garlic under its tongue, smear it with pig fat killed on St. Ignatius Day, which is July 31st. Then finally, turn the body face down so that if it does wake up, it'll go the wrong way. Phew, that's a lot of work. Back to the dude in the container. Who is he? Well, his name is Weber, and he claims to be the sole survivor of a dust storm. Huh, interesting. And a little sus, because Elise doesn't buy his story.
I'm not buying a story. I mean, come on, Connor, an orange dust cloud.
They look him up, only to see that he doesn't match his photo. Looks like we just found our Stroy.
We're in trouble.
Connor and Elise run back to the doctors, who stayed with the creature, but it looks like they're too late, and they get attacked in what is probably the most cheesiest moment in the entire series. Look at it. It's actually funny how he throws his head back before a bite. That couldn't have been the best take. Anyway, they're dead now, and Connor's starting to understand what's happening here. He tells Elise to run to the truck and take off. Don't wait on him.
Elise, just go.
She makes it, jumps in, and heads off with Connor screaming in the background because he knows what's in there with her. Somehow, and I really don't know how, but Connor and Elise both lived. The official reports blame a gas leak, and nothing about the event was made public. And there you have it, the 2 vampire episodes of Lost Tapes. Started with a high, ended with a low, and honestly the first story should have been a full-length movie. The family did a convincing job, especially Dennis, who was likable and brought some comic relief throughout the whole vampire in your house situation. The idea that anything is in your walls rummaging around is pretty terrifying, let alone a monster. I've never really seen that storyline done before. Sure, there's movies like People Under the Stairs and stuff like that, but just imagine that with a vampire. And they didn't skimp on the suit for that one either. It looks great, like a scary vampire. Now for the Strigoi, well, that left a bit to be desired. You gotta do more than just throw in some contacts and fake vampire teeth that you picked up at the dollar store. Although it was kind of interesting to learn about the Romanian legend, specifically how you kill a Strigoi. That was actually pretty cool. Like I've said time and time again, Lost Tapes is worth a watch even at its worst, and these 2 episodes are far from it. Even Strigoi is definitely worth a watch. I give Lost Tapes the vampire episodes 3 plastic vampire teeth out of 4.